Delegates, please welcome Rachel Garnham and the Platform Party.
Morning, everyone. Thanks for making the effort. I hope everyone's feeling bright and breezy, ready for another few hours at least of debate and discussion. So today we're going to continue the debate on housing, transport and local government, and then we'll move on to our remaining composite and emergency motions. Before we move to the CAC report, I would like to invite the Chief Scrutineer to announce the result of yesterday's ballot.
Dora Dixon file, 57,697. Gillian Norton, 62,042. Joanne Harding, 63,085. Stephen Marks, 202,340. Gary Heather, 202,557. And Jabran Hussain, 204,398. Therefore, Stephen Marks, Gary Heather and Jabran Hussain are elected to the National Constitutional Committee. Congratulations. Thank you, Conference.
Thank you, Candice, and for all your work this week. Can we give Candice a round of applause for her contributions? Before we get to the debate, we will need to approve the CAC report. I'm therefore call on the Chair of the Conference Arrangements Committee, Harry Donaldson, to introduce the report.
Chair Conference, formally presenting CAC Report 5. CAC 5 contains the results of the ballot for the National Constitutional Committee, results which have just been announced, held yesterday. Following the changes to the timetable yesterday also, today's agenda includes the conclusion of business originally timetabled for Tuesday, the Policy Commission debate on housing, Transport and Local Government Policy Commission continues and will be voted on at the end of the session, including the reference backs moved yesterday. The detail of these are provided on page 14, with full details of those pre-notified to conference provided on page 16. Debates on composite motions on local authority cuts, homelessness and housing, and on the emergency motion on Kashmir also conclude today. The emergency motion on Thomas Cook is debated today, and this is printed on page 13 of the report. Conference will also debate Composite 20 on immigration, which is printed on page 9, and Composite 22 on mental health, which is presented on page 11. For ease of reference, the standing orders are printed in Appendix 3, and the full agenda is printed on page 26 of the report. I hope everyone has had a positive and productive and enjoyable conference, and I'm sure you will join me in thanking the staff, the stewards, the accessibility stewards, our security, venue staff and the police for all their hard work and efforts during this conference. I move my report.
Thank you, Harry. Does anyone wish to ask any questions or make any points on the Conference Arrangements Committee report? Okay, one here. Accessibility steward at the back. There's one here, yes, with the beard. And one here, yeah. Yeah, in the check shirt, yeah.
Russell Cartwright, Unite the Union. Can I ask what is going to happen about the record of the decisions of conference? Normally we would have this published in this newsletter each day, and they've not been this year. You get card votes in the CAC report, but you don't get all the other decisions that have either been carried on a show of hands. We've had, I have to say, the vaguely chaotic process of being able to move reference backs from the floor, and yet they're not written down as to what the results were or anything like that. Delegates need to be able to report back to their organisations what their decisions were, and yet we've had nothing like that this year. Can we ensure that is rectified? It can be done at least electronically to every delegate after this conference finishes, please, Chair.
Thank you. Next delegate.
Good morning, Richard Murdoch, Combe Valley CLP. Tomorrow night we have our meeting of Combe Valley CLP, and our job is to report back on what happened, and our motion disappeared off the agenda. I did refer this back at the start of the session. Now, I understand cock-ups happen, I mean, you know, but obviously we need to know, our members voted for that motion, there was a big debate about it, and I was promised that I was going to get some sort of explanation, and it hasn't happened, so please could you sort that out before tomorrow night, otherwise it's going to be a bit embarrassing. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Conference Chair. So I hope you've all used your red bus passes. Being contactless, these are a mixed material and very difficult to recycle. Could Conference please provide a facility to recycle them? Thank you.
Claire Wadey, Brighton Pavilion CLP. Thank you, Conference. 3 questions. One, we're really happy that Conference is meeting this morning. A question to Cac. It's the main point our delegates have made coming out of the conferences in the last few years. Conference isn't long enough, and we're asking, can we have a full Wednesday session next year as well, please? Can Cac consider that? Secondly, yesterday, and I think one of the other questions might have just touched on this, there were at least 2 references back where the chair, and I thought the chair yesterday did a brilliant job, thank you, but there was at least 2 where the chair just said, oh, thank you, delegates, and that was clear, but didn't actually say if the vote was carried or fell. And obviously we do, I think, need that to be clarified. And thirdly, we just wanted to inform delegates that the collection, thank you for your generosity, the collection for the Pankhurst residents who've lost their homes raised £415 yesterday. And if delegates do want to contribute further, you can come down to our stand, which is still in the conference exhibition at stand 62. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Conference, it's Maple from the ALC. 2 quick points. Firstly, for next year's conference documentation, I think there's been, at points at this conference, slightly uncomradely comments, I'm sure unintentionally, about different parts of our movement. So I would urge the CAC in their documentation for conference to be perhaps more explicitly clear about how the movement is made up collectively and wholly. And then, secondly, can I thank the CAC and actually all Labour Party staff? This has been a conference like no other. 11 hours of compositing and everything else. So thank you to the CAC, to the team of staff who have made conference happen. Thank you.
Jordan Brown from Morwin Outward. Conference, can we ensure that next year we have a full explanation of when conference will start on the Wednesday morning? I know there's been some difficulties with the change of timetable, but I'm hoping that the reason why there's so many empty seats is because they didn't know that it started at 9 a.m. and not that it was a regular one. Thank you.
Last one.
I'd also like to thank all the staff for doing a great job. Something I have found as a second-time delegate is a lot of first-time delegates don't necessarily know how it works or the waiting system between the unions and the CLP delegates, and that's caused some friction. So I thought perhaps next year it would be useful to have some information provided as to how the system works in terms of voting and waiting and that, to make it easier for everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Delegate. I have seen a lot of other hands, but I want to move to ask Harry to reply. If you've got feedback about how the conference works, and I'm sure we all have, there will be the opportunity with a delegate survey, I understand, and now isn't the time to raise those suggestions because we really want to get on with the debate. So if there's any other questions about today's agenda and Conference Arrangements Committee, Conference Arrangements Committee, I'll take them, but we really need to get on with the debate. Okay, just one there.
Heather Pito, Nottingham South CLP. Thank you. just with all the changes of schedule yesterday, I might have missed it, but did we still have the policy forum, policy commission, the two that were meeting in the afternoon, that were scheduled to be at the time that the leader's speech was? And if they haven't occurred, I wonder if there's some possibility that we do it online or some other way. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, I was at the education policy seminar, so that one definitely took place. I presume the other one did too, although they were a bit curtailed. Sorry, it's not really my job to reply. I'll ask Harry to reply.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, in response to the policy seminars, they were scheduled to be on, so they were delayed. My understanding was they went ahead. In terms of the weighting and differences in publishing of information so that conference delegates are aware of how the voting proceeds, and it was raised by ALC delegate also, the issue is there. That will part of our ongoing feedback and review process of what's happened at conference, what we can learn and what we can improve on as we move forward into next year. Again, the issue about the explanation about following yesterday and the early start has been published all week that it was 9 o'clock start. I do appreciate and understand the movement yesterday and the rapid changes that were made, then people may well have become a bit confused, but it was already scheduled for 9 a.m. In terms of response, Claire, thanks for coming out to Ross. I fully appreciate the points that you've raised. And again, the issue of the question of the CAC and the Wednesday not being long enough. Again, part of the ongoing review that we have of conference. And there will be a full review of the votes in terms of that. I understand the Chair did say they were carried in terms of that. And again, the collection that you've said, hopefully that was successful in terms of that. The point that was made with regards to recycling, again, will be part of our overall review. And Cone Valley, in terms of report back on their motion, and was that sorted out? In terms of that was indicated there, referred to NEC. CAC staff will look into it. We did say get back to you. We'll try and get back to you sometime during the course of this morning or by contact direct, so you're in a position to feed back to your meeting. And again, the issue about the information from Russell, from Unite, recorded discussions from conference. I think we are trying to get them published all at the end through an online basis where everybody then has policy decisions that have been made by conference. And can I say, I'm sure that the staff and colleagues on the CAC and support staff are very grateful for your comments in terms of thanking them for all they've done this week, because there is a whole team that goes behind that. So thank you.
And can we add our thanks to all the elected representatives and staff working with the Conference Arrangements Committee who've worked really hard this week to try and accommodate the points that people have made and get the debate, many people involved in the debate as possible. So Thank you, Harry. We'll now take the vote on the CAC report. Can I see all those in favour of accepting the report? Thank you. And those against? That's accepted. Right, on to the debate. Conference. Yesterday, composites 15 to 19 were moved, as well as the emergency motion on Kashmir. Unfortunately, we had to cut the debate short. We had a special speaker who had to get his contribution in. He's busy elsewhere today. If anyone wishes to speak in favour or against any of those motions from yesterday, can you indicate now? And please remain seated while you put up your hand. So the accessibility steward here, right in, yeah, and in the red top. I'm doing them across. I'll get to over there. I'm moving to the left. I'll have the woman in the red dress with black, and over on the far with the white jacket, beige jacket. Hands down, I'm going to take these speakers and we'll come back to it more. Yeah, point of order.
Forgive me, Chair, it's just a bit of clarification. I thought, are we debating 21, 19 and 23? Or is that, we're going to come to that?
We're coming to that later.
Comrades, I'm quite nervous, so I do apologise if I sound shaky. I'm a first-time delegate and a first-time speaker. I'm 17. My name is Buffy Collett-Bell, and I'm the youth delegate for Hornsey and Wood Green CLP. I would like to support Composite 21 on local authority cuts. I'm very passionate that this is spoken about today. I joined the party at 14. Austerity has been the backdrop of my childhood. For more than half of my life, I've borne witness to local government cuts. This is why I joined the party. My neighbours are suffering and my peers are suffering. Funding in Haringey has in real terms been reduced by 59%. And I've seen the effects on my community. I've heard the stories on the doorsteps, watched the food banks increase, and our ability to provide for our young people evaporate. After-school care, the youth clubs, gone. Parents on 0-hour contracts working 2 jobs with their kids on the streets. I've met the families living for years in temporary accommodation. 5 human beings in one filthy room. I've met the crack addicts in the stairwells of our housing blocks, the homeless sleeping in the parks or huddled in doorways. I've met the old couple, isolated and lonely. The impacts the cuts to our funding is massive, and it attacks the vulnerable and the marginalised in our communities. I stand here today as a survivor of the education cuts. I'm a young woman with high-functioning autism. When the speech and language provision was cut and the SEN department ended up in shreds, I was eventually excluded from my education. A lifeline was thrown to me, a gem in Haringey's provision. I ended up at Haringey Tuition Services. How much longer will that be able to continue? I want to see a future where the vulnerable are supported, our elderly are cherished, and our young people succeed. Conference, I urge you all to support this motion for the many and not the few.
Chair Conference, Councillor Elizabeth Baptiste, proudly representing Unison. Conference this summer marks the 100th anniversary of the Addison Act 1919, which created council housing. But sadly, this centenary only marked by a housing sector crisis. This government failed to deliver decent, secure and affordable homes to workers. 100 years on, we're simply not building enough affordable homes to meet housing demands. Many Unison members, NHS cleaners, teaching assistants, librarians, nurses, police and community support workers are priced out. Poverty and overcrowding, old housing stock, unfit for habitation, rising housing costs, rent arrears, more evictions, greater homelessness are all on the rise. This is scandalous for a modern country. Conference, let us never forget the Grenfell tragedy. 2 years ago, which is still on an open wound for the local community and a mark of shame for our society. Conference. We have had 9 years of Tory austerity. Council budgets have been with 79% of council reducing spending and over a third being forced to cut housing spend by more than 50%. In spite of these challenges, we believe more than ever that councils are better placed to tackle the housing crisis than private developers who put profits before needs. I am a proud councillor in Woburn Forest, where we are working to deliver hundreds of new homes for our residents, currently at 47%. In addition, in this centenary, we can be proud that Labour has committed itself to increase housing subsidies, support council returns to historic role, building homes fit for workers, our public service champions. In addition, we welcome further Housing Manifesto commitment to overhaul the private rent sector to make it decent, safe, secure and affordable home. Conference, please support this motion. Thank you.
I'm Jessie Jo Jacobs, Unite delegate, and I'm currently running to be the UK's first female Metro Mayor. Conference, I am sick of injustice. I'm tired of hearing of another person losing their life to domestic violence, to suicide, to drug addiction. I'm tired of hearing of another service being cut to support those issues, to support people in need, and the reason of austerity. Earlier this year, the Rape Counselling Service in Teesside was informed that their funding may be cut in half. The Rape Counselling Service that helps women at their most traumatised moment in their life, offering hope, recovery and rehabilitation, to be halved when violence against women is on the rise. Last year, Theresa May said austerity was over. Well, if it was over, why are those councils still having their funding cut? If it was over, why are youth service still closing and Unite members who work for them still facing redundancies? If it was over, then why are councils being made to make a decision to cut vital services to rape survivors? If it was over, why are the homeless still in our doorways? If it was over, why are young people not having those services they desperately need? We've had enough. We desperately need a Labour government. Boris Johnson has shown himself once again to be the self-serving, lying bully boy who has no respect for democracy. He needs to go. We need him and the Tories out. For the rape survivors, we need them out. For the young people without hope in this nation, we need them out. For the working families struggling to feed their children, we need them out. For the planet, for the halting of mass extinction, for the future of all of us. We need them out. And can I say this to the world media? We do not fear Boris Johnson.
Wind up, please.
We will go to the next general election with the people across this nation unified alongside the only party that truly represents the 99%. We will come together, we will get him out, and we will get Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour government in. Everything depends on this.
Thank you, Delegate. Right, I'll take a next round before the final speaker in this round speaks, and it is composites 21, 19 and 23, as the delegates here pointed out. Sorry for the wrong announcement earlier, but I think you all know what you're talking about. The delegate right at the front over here, at the back with the sort of dark T-shirt with red writing. Yep, you. Okay, yeah, in the mustard top, and delegate with the papers in the air. I'll come back for more in a bit. Next delegate.
Margie Clark, delegate from GMB and Asda branch secretary. Walking through any street in this country, seeing the sheer numbers of people having to sleep on our streets, you'd be forgiven thinking you've been transported back to Thatcher's Britain. And I am reminded of something a younger Jeremy Corbyn said to the then Tory Prime Minister in 1990. He said, when people sleep on the streets of our capital city, when people are charged exorbitant rents, and when children are brought up in bed and breakfast hotels, it is a disgrace to a civilised country. Conference, sadly, what Jeremy Corbyn said nearly 20 years ago is just as relevant today. The scourge of homelessness is a choice that Tories make time and time again. The lack of affordable houses, selling off council houses, and the willful destruction of the welfare system is a choice. It's always the Tory way, but it is not the only way. We know the Labour way would be to build more houses, to tackle rogue landlords, and to stop skyrocketing rents. But one of the biggest changes for a group of amazing people, which my union, GMB, represents, would be to scrap the dreaded bedroom tax. Foster carers who provide a needed home for some of the most vulnerable children in the country currently get penalised by this government with the bedroom tax for providing rooms for more than one child or young adult. Conference, that tells you everything you need to know about the difference a Labour government would make. It is a difference this country wants and needs. So let's take this fight to the Tories, let's get people off the streets, and let's build homes fit for this generation and the next.
Thank you. Can you come to the desk and we can check if it's a point of order while the next delegate speaks? Thank you. Go ahead, delegate. You speak.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Chair Conference, Brian Kenny, CWU, and a proud councillor in the Wirral to support composite motion 21. Conference, this Tory government, since they came to power in 2010, has cut funding to local authorities by around 50%, and that is a disgrace. And at the same time, cost pressures continue to rise, so local councils up and down the country are being asked to do more for less, and it's just not working, and it's our communities who are suffering. They've been forced to close public services, cut benefits, freeze pay and reduce jobs, and they face a massive overall funding gap of £3.2 billion next year. Everywhere has been hit hard, but particularly in areas like mine in the north of England. Now, Jeremy Corbyn recently sent an email to all Labour councillors, and he said that a Labour government would end austerity from the first year, boosting council budgets and giving communities control over their futures. Conference, we must stop the cuts to social care, schools, libraries, Sure Start, and give councils the means to build the homes that people so desperately need. And we all know that only a Labour government will properly fund and invest in the services people need. In my own area in the Wirral, we saw £45 million wiped off our budget this year, and we've got to either reduce spending or generate more income by another £67 million in the coming year. These cuts are being made at the worst possible time when we have an ageing population, we're supporting deprived communities, and more children need our help. Conference, Tory austerity is cruel, unfair, unsustainable and irresponsible. Everybody should be able to depend on public services, and that's why you need to carry Composite Motion 21. We need to elect a Jeremy Corbyn-led Labour government, and we need to restore the funding that local authorities need. Finally, Chair, John McDonnell recently said that he's sick and tired of Labour councillors being used as a human shield by this Tory government for their austerity cuts. He gets it, we do too. Please carry this. Thank you.
Just a reminder to speakers that if you can stick to time, we can get more people in. I know there's still a lot of people who haven't spoken this week who'd like to speak today, so please try and stick to your 2 minutes.
Right. Chair, Conference, Joyce Still, Unite, speaking in support of Composite 19. Conference, we are in the midst of a homelessness crisis. The numbers of homeless people and rough sleepers are at their highest levels since 2010. And I know that this is a serious and increasing problem in Stafford, where I am proud to be the prospective parliamentary candidate. The UK is the 6th biggest economy on the planet. It ought to be capable of putting a roof over the head of every citizen. But the fact that it does not is the direct consequences of failed Conservative austerity policies. Conference, I am hugely proud that last January, Unite, my union, opened its Holborn offices in response to the London Mayor's Severe Weather Emergency Provision Programme, giving shelter to a number of homeless people during one of the coldest snaps. But dealing with homelessness requires a radical nationwide approach. We welcome Labour's commitment to set out a new national plan to end rough sleeping within the next Parliament. And we welcome its plans to tackle the root causes of homelessness, including safeguarding homeless hostels and other supported housing, and the reversal of the crude Conservative cuts to housing benefits. Conference, homelessness needs addressing now. It needs serious investment in social housing and a return to the building of council houses. As Jeremy said in his speech yesterday, we need council houses. It needs additional help for rough sleepers, especially in cold weather, and it needs a Labour government and Jeremy Corbyn as the Prime Minister. Please support Composite 19. Thank you. Thank you.
Morning Conference. Afrasia Banwa, Burnley CLP. First time delegate, first time speaker. And a proud Northerner. One of the reasons I'm proud to be a Northerner is because in the North, we lead the fight against the far right. I'm from a town, Burnley, in the North, where when the BNP came to our town, we sent them on their bike. This year, when Tommy Robinson came to the North West, thinking we were fair game, we sent him packing too. But Conference, the fight against the far right is not a local one, it's not a regional one, it's not even a national one, it's an international one. There's an international far right movement that's taking place, and they've got their poster boys. The poster boys, Trump, Johnson, Netanyahu. Emily Thornberry spoke the other day and she named a few of them, or most of them, but she left one out, and his name is Narendra Modi. Did you know, Conference, that Srebrenica, within 8 years, went from being communities living side by side to genocide? And it's happening again, and it's happening in Kashmir. Kashmir is bleeding. Women are being raped. Children are being shot with pellets. And there's a lockdown on communications, and we heard yesterday that there's been an earthquake there as well. Kashmir is suffering. The parallels between Palestine and Kashmir are stark and are there for all to see. I say to you, Conference, don't let Kashmir become another Palestine.
Thank you, Delegate. Last sentence.
We heard from Dawn Butler, who told us that black history, colonial history, is British history. I say to you, Conference, that Palestinian children, Kashmiri children are our children. I urge you, Conference, to support this motion on Kashmir. Thank you. Solidarity with Free Kashmir.
I'll take another round before the next delegate speaks. Can people just stay sitting down and don't wave papers, apparently. So I will take the woman in the mustard jacket, and in the right at the very far back over there, I think he's a man in the back row, delegate in the back row. Can you, yeah, you're looking around like it might not be you. Yeah, can you stand up and I'll, yes, you have just stood up, I've picked you. Then over here, delegate in a red top in the middle. Yes, you're waving now. Yeah, and the accessibility steward here, and I'll come over here next time. What was that? More speakers over there, I think. There are not so many hands over there.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Emma Taylor from Worthing West CLP, speaking in support of Composite 19 on homelessness. When walking around in Brighton for conference, in London for work, or in my hometowns, past of Crawley, present of Worthing, I am, as we all are, constantly confronted with the homelessness crisis. And I say to myself, there but the grace of God go I. Yesterday at conference, I saw a man wearing a t-shirt almost as cool as mine, with a slogan on it saying, "If you're not angry, you're not paying attention." We all need to remember why we joined the Labour Party. It was not for Brexit. We need to remember that the only chance we have of ending homelessness in this country is with a socialist government led by Jeremy Corbyn. From my voluntary work, I have too many heartbreaking stories to share, but on the lines of people being discharged from the army to the streets, from hospitals to the streets, from care homes and from prisons to the streets. Not to mention how many are losing their tenancies due to affordability issues because of insecure employment, insufficient wages, or an inadequate benefit system. Enough is enough. And finally, conference, I just want to say how proud I am of my comrades in East Worthing and Shoreham for bringing this motion to conference. And I want to also give a shout out to my comrades from Crawley who may not be here because they are fighting a by-election, well, 2 by-elections tomorrow. Solidarity.
Hello, conference. I'm a Labour student, member of BAME Labour, and I'm from Haywood and Middleton CLP. We need to support aspirations. People are being priced out of rented homes. They cannot even afford to purchase a house. I am proud to support motion 23 because we will win with this motion. Labour stands up for democracy, for aspirations, to support people of all walks of life. We need to end homelessness. It is not acceptable. Victims of domestic violence have to wait on the waiting list for almost up to a year because they do not qualify. What does this mean for people? Will they continue to be hurt? Men and women are all victims of domestic violence. Let us support everybody to have a shelter over their heads. Support aspirations for people who want to own a house. Support people who are homeless. Support everyone. With this, we will win. We will get Jeremy Corbyn into number 10. Stand up for aspirations and for everybody who deserves a shelter over their heads. Support Composite 23.
Good morning, conference. My name is Samantha Wentworth. I'm a Women's Officer for Bexley Heath and Crayford CLP. I'm here to support Composite 19 on homelessness, but I think it needs to go further. I lived in a 2-bedroom flat and my eldest daughter moved out. Well, both of my daughters moved out. I no longer needed the extra bedroom and I approached the council about downsizing. It took Bexley Council a year to accept me onto the housing list and another 3 months to give me a bidding number. I was finally downsized in July of this year, meaning the whole process had taken 2 years. These are 2 years where a family living in one room could have been living in my 2-bedroom flat. Why did it take so long? The stress of it all, of having to hound the council, affected my mental health, and I was placed in a situation that wasn't necessary. I felt guilty that I had all that space, which I didn't need, through no fault of my own, knowing that my property could have been housing a family that really needed it. So I support the motion, but it needs to talk about the issue of downsizing, because sometimes the housing does exist, but it's taken too long to free it up. And I know that there will be other people like me who want to move into smaller properties but can't. Labour need to address the process of downsizing. They need to address speeding up the process so that families who are homeless or are living in one room can be rehomed quicker. Thank you.
Morning Conference. Zoe Malik, Hall Green Constituency, Birmingham, speaking on the Kashmir motion. Yesterday, the Chair stated that we, the Labour Party, are an internationalist party. Conference, Modi, the past Hitler or the present Trump, has revoked Article 370 and 35A. For over 50 days, 700,000 people have been housebound. Children are crying for milk. Patients are dying without medication. The Indian Army are raping women, men and children. They are beating and torturing young men. 100,000 killed, 10,000 women raped, gang raped. As the Labour Party, we stand for solidarity. We fight for the rights of people with no voice. We have always fought for the right of all oppressed people. So I ask you, Conference, where is the support for the Kashmiri people? Why is there no media coverage like other countries? Kashmiri people have been suffering for the past 72 years. I urge you to support this motion. The UN inspectors must go and report back all the atrocities and force India to stop violating human rights. Allow the people of Kashmir to have a referendum as promised 72 years ago. Conference, I urge you to support to allow the people of Kashmir to be free to live their lives, that no one person could make all of their laws that govern the way everyone is to live. To have a structure in place that allows the people of Kashmir live their lives with a voice to change everything, to stand up and be heard. I urge you to support this motion. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to take another 4 speakers. Over here, there's a delegate in black. Yeah, come forward. In this block, in the middle with the red lanyard and the black top. In this block, you. No, the person who's just stood up. With the grey jumper, who's sitting very nicely and not waving too much. So, waving doesn't always get you places. Next delegate, please. Not you. Sorry, grey jumper. Oh, who's? Yeah.
Morning, Chair. Morning, Conference. My name is Leda Prest, and I'm from Wakefield CLP. Thank you. I will be speaking in support of the emergency Kashmir motion. Wakefield CLP recognises with deep concern the current humanitarian and constitutional crisis in Kashmir. This has been brought about by the actions of the Modi government of India and the Hindu nationalist BLP in unilaterally removing the special constitutional status of Jammu Kashmir under Article 370 of the Indian Constitution, and by imposing martial law on local elected politicians who have been placed under house arrest. Communications and media are in lockdown. Little is known about what is actually happening and taking place in Kashmir. There are actually 500,000 Kashmiris living in the UK who haven't got any knowledge about what's happening to their relations, and of course the earthquake yesterday has made it even worse. It must be terrible not to be able to know what is actually happening to your family. The consequences of this are absolutely massive with regards to both human rights and the maintenance of international peace. And what makes the whole situation even more fraught is the threat to world peace. Both India and Pakistan have been at war for more than 72 years. We've heard about that already. And more importantly, are now both nuclear powers with a potential involvement from China. In the short term, India must revert to the position before the present crisis and fully restore the limited autonomy and status of Jammu Kashmir and provide full economic aid to compensate for government and individual hardship caused. In the medium term, the UN must be allowed to supervise a genuine exercise in self-determination for the whole of Kashmir. We, comrades, and the Labour Party leadership must play a more proactive role in pressing for an amicable solution for this long-standing issue to bring much-needed peace and prosperity to the region. The future Labour government must take up the matter with the UN Security Council in order to bring about a permanent resolution to this unresolved breach of the British Raj, the legacy of the British Raj, while ensuring the principle of unfettered right to self-determination is upheld. Support this motion, comrades, please. Solidarity with Kashmir. Stand against hate. Stand against racism. Stand against genocide. Stand against extremism. Stand against Modi. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, conference. My name is Naseem Begum and I'm the CLP I'm from Rushcliffe CLP. I'm a first-time delegate and a first-time speaker. I'm speaking today regarding Kashmir and the atrocities that are happening in Kashmir, and they are far too often ignored and silenced. I would like to reference what Emily Thornsby said. She said, "We are with the oppressed and not the oppressors." I want my Labour ministers to speak up for the people of Kashmir. Britain has a particular responsibility for Kashmir because of British colonialism, which in 1947 left this land disputed territory. As a nation, we can't ignore this. Let's stop the suffering. The women are being raped, children are going missing, husbands are going missing, women are becoming widows. The conference and comrades, please think about the long-standing issue of Kashmir. This is suffering of innocent people has gone on for far too long. I'm pleading with you today that support this motion, that Uzma and Nigat who have backed this motion. Please, I am pleading, we need this motion to go through. It's people like you that who are humble and understand the suffering and the sincerity of what this government needs to. We need a Labour government. Boris Johnson won't do anything to support this motion. He won't even highlight this issue. Whilst we are debating these issues, innocent people are dying in Gaza and Yemen and Kashmir. Please support this motion, please.
Morning, conference. Gareth Smith, Manchester Central. First-time speaker, first-time delegate, with 5 other delegates. We fundraised to come down to conference this week, and it's been a really interesting and exciting experience for us all. I'm speaking primarily in favour of Composite Motion 19, homelessness, but also other aspects of 21 and 23, because they're all kind of primarily linked together, really. I wanted to give thanks, first and foremost, to staff that are working homeless centres up and down the country, often working really long hours, putting in more time than they're getting paid for, and doing so for their, primary desire to see homelessness end. Manchester, like many cities, has got a real homelessness problem. There's absolutely thousands of people that are currently homeless, and it's a real problem that we're really struggling to get a grip of. Compassion is the heart of the Labour movement. It's the reason I joined the party, and it underpins the kind of justice and equality that we strive for. With that in mind, and in regard to what's been happening in Manchester, I urge any Labour councillors and any local authorities to reject any policies that seek to further criminalise homeless people. You know, these policies are barbaric. They often don't address the root of the problem and are not consistent with the values of the Labour family. When we get our Labour government and begin to enact the policies that are outlined in Composite 19, then I'd like to see two additional things happen. That people experiencing homelessness are put at the heart of the policy formation. You know, they are the experts, they know what support they need. We are merely the people that can act the money to make things happen, you know. And secondly, I'd like to see access to the arts and creativity built into homeless policy and service provision. People often arrive at day centres with zero confidence, but through weekly access and engagement with creative workshops, I have personally seen people begin exhibiting artworks, direct films and perform opera.
Can you wind up?
Safe, secure and affordable housing and the access to the right kind of support are essential to ending homelessness, but the arts are the tool to rebuild confidence, hope and identity. Thank you, Conference.
Morning, Conference. First time in Brighton, second time delegate, first time speaker. My name's Claude Hendrickson. I'm from the Leeds North East CLP, West Yorkshire and Humber, and I'm a GMB member. I joined the party when Jeremy Corbyn was elected leader, because I thought we needed a new kind of politics in the UK. We need a housing revolution, Conference. 100,000, 200,000, whatever they need to be built. Conference, we realise with homelessness, over 60% of homeless people are ex-military men and women and have served this country and could not cope with civil life. The rest is made up with people with mental health issues and running from domestic violence. With this housing revolution that was also done back in the 50s, it needs to be done again. We can build a better Britain. I commend the government for promoting council joining housing associations and some private building firms building houses. But I think with this revolution, we need to support projects like the community-led housing initiative, core housing projects. I was involved with the Community Self-Build Agency, which has done some great work in Bristol, working with ex-military men, building their own houses over the last 10 years. This movement can contribute to the housing crisis. Conference, to build more houses, we need more construction workers, construction training projects for young people.
Thank you, Delegate.
Opening evenings, weekends, to introduce them to the industry.
Last sentence.
Yeah, winding up. Reoffending people coming out of prison can also be trained to join the construction industry. And finally, Conference, our young men are killing each other on the streets every day since the year has started. They are crying out for a way to build themselves out of the world they are living in. When you exclude from school, it's the beginning of excluding from society. The housing revolution, the housing revolution needs to include jobs, training and employment alongside enterprise for young people, building communities. I thank you, Conference.
Right, this is the final delegate in this debate and we'll move on.
Thank you, Councillor Jenny Flood from Chesterfield CALP. supporting all these motions and the emergency motion, but speaking to motion 21. Conference, I represent a very deprived ward, and everybody said you should stop saying that. When you're in a Tory-controlled county council, you can't stop saying that because you have to fight, you have to do something to improve the services. To add insult to injury, they decided to cut the bus subsidy, and Stagecoach, your days are numbered, thank God, thanks to Labour's policy. However, Stagecoach decides to cut not the services where people have cars and can get around, they decide to cut the services to the deprived areas in Chesterfield. As a result, we've got people who are on 0 hours contracts who now can't get home from a 12-hour shift at night because the last bus leaves town at 9 o'clock and they don't finish work till gone 10. At a weekend, they can't get anywhere in our area after 6:30 at night. We've got young people who want to go out. They need to go to the youth club, which is in town. They have to walk or they can't get. And the problem is they then often get into trouble. And antisocial behaviour's been on the rise because they are not attending the activities that have been set up for them. It's an absolute disgrace that in this day and age, when we have a number of people who are in poverty but are working, and 48% of the adults in the area I represent actually work, but most of them are in the 0 hours area. So we have a bus campaign, winding up, a bus campaign, 39 bus, one way through our area, and if I can say that all of you should now get on board and get this campaign going for Labour's policy on buses. And let's get rid of Stagecoach.
Okay, we've still got a few remaining important items of business. So first, it's going to be Camberwell and Peckham CLP to move Composite 20 on immigration, and then can Edinburgh Central be ready to second, and after that it will be the Composite on mental health, followed by Thomas Cook. So can all those people get ready so we can get through and then we can have some more debate. Are Camberwell and Peckham ready yet? On their way. Composite 20 on immigration.
Good morning, Conference. Dora Dixon File, Camberwell and Peckham, and a proud member of Unite the Union. Conference, I represent a working-class Labour heartland. I'm a councillor in Camberwell and Peckham, have been for over 20 years. And in that time, I have acquired some deep knowledge of my community, their worries and their concerns. And let me tell you, they have legitimate concerns about immigration. Specifically, they have concerns that our people are being locked up, deported, denied basic medical care, denied basic social security, denied housing, denied even a democratic voice. Why? Because these decisions, most of these decisions, are based on the colour of our skin and the colour of our passports. My constituents are terrified about the current Tory immigration policy. They are terrified when they see Home Office vans driving down Rye Lane, a busy thoroughfare in my borough, with posters on the side saying, "Go home." How offensive. They are terrified, wondering when it will be their turn next to be picked up off the street. They are terrified to be locked up indefinitely in cages, which the government dignifies by calling detention centres. Then they bundled onto aeroplanes by faceless corporations. You can guess who got the contract for that, to be sent home to a place where they have no family, no history, no support, no network, because of faceless bureaucrats in the Home Office who are a law unto themselves. My constituents are even terrified of getting basic medical treatment, because going to the GP surgery they see as another border which effectively denies them getting treatment when they're ill. These people, conference, are our friends. They're our neighbours. We call them our comrades. They are our NHS. They are our teaching assistants. They are our cleaners and security staff. They are our armed forces protecting our country with their lives. And yet they're still liable to be locked up or deported. How disgraceful. Windrush is a scar on the conscience of this country. But let's be honest, the Tories have absolutely no intention whatsoever of sorting that problem out. But we, as Labour in government, led by Jeremy Corbyn, can put right those Tory wrongs. Not for us locking up people indefinitely. Murderers, don't forget, they get told how many years they'll go to jail for. Detainees do not. Can you imagine what it's like for the mental health of these human beings? I can tell you, I've dealt with hundreds of cases like this. I'll give you one example, though. I helped a man who was picked up in Peckham and then removed straight to Scotland, to Dungravel, a detention centre over there, thus denying his wife and child the opportunity, the affordability to go up there to Scotland to see him. That was disgraceful. I fought that case for months, and then finally the Home Office backed down and he was released. He was lucky, because people are dying in detention centres. People are being raped and abused. We must close every single detention centre. Not one, not two, but every single detention centre should be closed. Conference, is this what we have become as a country? We are better than this. We are for the working class. We are for the less well off. We are for the vulnerable. Jeremy said that yesterday. Today, conference, no ambiguity, no ambivalence. As Jeremy said, let's be compassionate, let's be bold, let's be radical, let's put our socialist values into action. Vote for this motion proudly, conference. Vote for it unanimously. I move.
BJ Jackson, Edinburgh Central CLP. First-time delegate, second-generation migrant and proud Unite member. Conference, our class duty as socialists and internationalists is to pass the immigration composite. When I was 7, I had to leave my friends, my school, my hometown, and go to live in a different country because my family were under siege from racists and xenophobes. The police refused to help. We were not safe in our own home, and my parents had to send me and my brother thousands of miles away to protect us. That country that I left behind was Britain, and that hometown was Hastings, only a few miles from here. But the hate that I thought I would never see again is on the rise. This isn't just a moral crime of unspeakable proportions. It's also a poison that holds back the trade union and socialist movements with division and fear. When lies about migrants undercutting wages or undermining services are on every front page, we are pitted against each other when we should be taking on the 1%. The real culprits are bosses, landlords, media moguls, the capitalist class. If you know that losing your job could mean destitution or deportation, your children left hungry or homeless because of visa conditions and no recourse to public funds, then our ability to fight back is weakened. Despite obstacles, migrant workers are already on the cutting edge of trade union campaigns. From cleaners to NHS workers, delivery riders to teaching assistants, migrants are striking and raising your wage, beating zero-hour contracts and building unions. The least that Labour can do for these heroes is pledge today that we will uncompromisingly stand for our class, for the workers, regardless of origin. Talk is cheap. We must back our brothers and sisters with deeds as well as words. Let's show all migrants, our comrades, that we have your back. To those affected by Windrush, Grenfell or Brexit precarity, the Labour Party will give no quarter to anti-migrant narratives or policies. We will not rest until there is full equality of workers' rights, of suffrage, of family reunion. This motion, as part of our next manifesto, will send the hostile environment to the graveyard of history. I may be running out of time, Conference, but so are those locked up in detention centres waiting to be deported. If you want to eradicate inequality, injustice and bigotry, as do I, vote for this motion.
Thank you, delegates. We move on to our final composite on mental health, which is to be moved by Caerphilly CLP and seconded by Sheffield Hallam CLP. There'll be time for debate on all the motions in a bit. Can I see Caerphilly CLP?
Thank you, Conference. Morgan Paulette, Caerphilly CLP. Conference, I never thought I'd have a reason to be scared of a ringing phone until the day that we received a call in my household that my brother had been placed on suicide watch in his time at university. Ever since that day, every time the phone rang, it filled our house with this sense of dread, and all of us were petrified to pick up that phone in case we received that call. Now, thankfully, Conference, my brother graduated, and he's perfectly fine now. But for the people in this room that might never have had a stroke with suicidality before, I would like to bring it home to this room a little bit. So could I please invite all the gentlemen in this room to stand up? On the Conference website, it is advertised that this room should be able to hold 4,450 people, which means that during Jeremy Corbyn's speech yesterday, on a basis of probability, there were 120 men in this room that have attempted suicide at some point in their lives. Thank you, gentlemen. You can retake your seats. Conference, the policies in the Caerphilly strategy would revolutionise the way we treat mental health in this country, from expanding sex education in schools to include education about porn and consent, to introducing mental health education into schools, to teach pupils how to healthily deal with their emotions, to long-needed reform of the Mental Health Act, to reforming and expanding CAMHS so that university students are covered up to their mid-20s so they have a support network when they're miles from home. And to 24/7 universal crisis care so that there is not a single door in this country that a team cannot reach when there is someone in a crisis. But Conference, for all of the policies in the Caerphilly strategy, they'll be for nothing if we don't attack the silence that still throttles people on a daily basis. For in a culture of silence, every time someone speaks out, it is no less than revolutionary. And on that note, I suffered with clinical depression for 10 years, which culminated on Monday the 16th of May 2016, when I attempted to take my own life. And the most painful part about talking about this today is that this speech is how my family and friends are finding out about this. If we want to tackle this silence, we not only have to encourage other people that it's okay to be open, but we have to show it too. So for every delegate that wishes to speak on this today, I would encourage you to share your own experiences. And now to wrap up conference, for anyone in this room or who is out there listening right now, I have to tell you that as much as I know how it can feel like it, you are not alone in this. Take me as living testament that you can go to those depths and come back from it. Conference, for the families that did receive that call, for the people who right now are hanging on by their fingernails, for those of us who have been left behind, and those of us who aren't with us anymore, I move this motion.
Anita Campbell, Sheffield Hallam CLP and proud socialist. Well, if you've not been moved by what Morgan's just said, it takes me just a few breaths to get into my speech because they were such powerful words. Now, I have seen what he has shared with you too many times as a general practitioner in Sheffield. It was there that I saw the health inequalities fed by relative poverty that led to poor mental health. And I remember the people in my practice who took their own lives. And I remember them with such sadness. Now, mental health problems actually affect everyone. I know that Morgan only got half of you to stand up, but I bet you everybody in this audience has been affected by mental health problems. If not you, then like me, family members or friends who have struggled or lost that struggle. Now, Lib Dem and Tory policies of austerity have really exacerbated the problem over the last decade. From my experience, people cannot always access the care they need. And I couldn't really say to patients, actually, you don't need me. What you need is a change of government. Now, I've retired from clinical practice just now. And at least now I can say what I thought then, today. Think about it. 6 months of work of our CLP Mental Health Advisory Group, we consulted with service users, their carers and providers. And it's led for our CLP to call for our Labour Party to win this general election. We owe it to all these people with significant mental health problems. We owe it to the well-being of this nation. Win the general election, please. So if we want you to win the election, because within 100 days of office, we need a comprehensive review to identify additional resources within health and social care budgets to address the mental health and the well-being of the nation. Our CLP is calling for in the region of an additional $2 billion.
Delegate. Can you finish up quickly?
Okay,
Last sentence.
$2 billion. We need policy considerations across to take account of mental health and well-being. It's second nature to us. It's for the many, not the few. And in summary, conference, we're in the midst of a mental health crisis, and to address this, we need nothing short of a mental health revolution. Conference, I second this motion.
Thanks. We now have an emergency motion on Thomas Cook to be moved by Unite the Union and seconded by the TSSA.
Thank you, Chair Conference. Diana Holland Unite moving this emergency motion and calling for your support for all the people so devastatingly impacted by the collapse of Thomas Cook. This is a highly unionised workforce. Unite represents thousands of dedicated, professional, skilled workers now without a job. This is now the biggest repatriation effort since the Second World War at a cost of £600 million. And where the terrible impact on our communities in the whole supply chain is only now being recognised. But there is one group of people who are celebrating. The vulture hedge funds who bet on Thomas Cook's collapse and the misery of workers and customers. According to media reports, they are set to gain £250 million. Conference, the company needed less than this, £200 million, to prevent the collapse. None of this adds up. Thomas Cook demonstrates the complete failure of the UK's current system to protect anyone. It did not have to be this way. Condor, Thomas Cook in Germany, and Thomas Cook Scandinavia are still able to fly under a form of protective administration with government support. Conference, corporate mismanagement and the indifference of the government to UK jobs and business is shameful. Unlike the powerful commitments given by Labour's front bench and by other governments, the UK government refused to play any role, and their action now is too little too late. Loyal Thomas Cook workers face not being paid next week what they are owed. As their union, we're doing all we can to make sure they're paid their wages, to help those stranded all over the world to get back free of charge, to make sure that they get their full redundancy pay and legal rights to compensation, to help with finding jobs and all the support they need. But there is so much more that needs to change. Thomas Cook workers and passengers have been asking us, who cares? By passing this motion, we can say, your unions care, your communities care, and Labour cares. I move. Thank you. Thank you.
Every time. Mick Carney, TSSA National President. Conference. Thomas Cook founded the travel agents that he would become renowned for in Leicester in 1841. He made use of Britain's newly built railways and offered temperance trips. 3 days ago, after 178 years, Thomas Cook folded. It folded because RBS, a bank which we, the taxpayer, bailed out, refused to guarantee a £200 million bailout if winter sales did not match expectations. It did not even want the money up front. This collapse has left 9,000 unemployed in this country and 150,000 people stranded. Dream holidays ruined. Last night, the German wing of Thomas Cook was rescued for £380 million. Johnson was asked on Monday why he did not intervene. His reply, it would create a moral hazard. Conference, what the hell does Boris Johnson know about morality? The man who illegally prorogued Parliament and lied to the Queen. The man who misled the government, misled the House of Commons. Bloomberg reported that hedge fund speculators made $250 million short-selling shares in Thomas Cook. That is immoral. Flights back for customers stranded in Thomas Cook resorts have now trebled. That is immoral. These people are vulture capitalists. They have no morals. Conference, the reason for this failure is down to one thing, capitalism. Capitalism is immoral. I second.
Right, conference, I'm going to open the floor for speakers. Please indicate this will be your last chance to speak at conference. So it's not sinister, it just is the last session. Person in the green jumper in the middle, at the back, in the red top and black jacket. Yes, you just stood up. With the glasses. No, there's two people with glasses. It's the person with the red tie. And I haven't been at the back over here, so we'll go to the very end of the row. Yeah, who just waved?
Guy with the beard and red t-shirt.
I'm just going to... the person who's just walking down, they're coming across the delegate. Yeah, I think we're clear. We'll take another round in a minute. I've taken one from each block. I'll come back and do another one from each block.
It's Alex from Streatham CLP. I want to speak in favour of the motion on immigration. I want to focus on the issue of freedom of movement. Freedom of movement is an international gain for the working class. It is a workers' right to move as the people they are and not just units of labour. It's a gain for black and Asian and immigrant, EU and non-EU immigrants across Europe, and it's a human right. The black and Asian and immigrant communities are a fundamental part of the working class and our labour movement. Defending and extending free movement of people is speaking for those people and our integrated communities and workplaces. We must join the fight to dismantle the racist and abusive immigration and detention system. Only by defending the free movement of people can we effectively challenge the far right or using anti-immigrant bigotry and racism to build their movement. Ending free movement of people is a concession to the anti-immigrant bigotry and racism, and it is adding to the racist dividing role of our labour movement in Britain and across Europe. Defend and extend free movement of people. Thank you.
Hi, conference. My name is Stella. I'm first-time speaker, first-time delegate. I didn't want to do a stereotypical thing, immigrant talking about immigration, but I have to. And I'm supporting the motion 110%. But I want to say something here that hasn't been said. We have to talk about immigration in a positive way. All of us have to talk about it over and over in a positive way. When you do not talk about it in a positive way, people like me suffer. People who serve the country suffer. And I want to use this platform, because I'm African, to condemn South Africa. Shame on you for attacking other Africans. Shame on you on attacking the Africans who come to work in your country. They fought for you when you're suffering in apartheid, and now you're killing them. Shame on you. And anyway, back to the motion. I fully support it, and all of us have a duty to speak positively about immigration, or negatively if you have to, but speak about it. Don't let the far right capture immigration. Good or bad, it's your duty to talk about it. I support the motion.
Chair, Conference, Phil Jones, Unite, speaking in support of Composite 22 regarding mental health. And as Chair of Unite's National LGBT+ Committee, focusing on the issue of mental health and the LGBT+ community. But before I begin, I want to say a huge thank you to Morgan for sharing such a brave and powerful testimony. Well done, comrade. You have not just done your CLP proud, you have done yourself and your family proud. Conference. Being LGBT+ does not automatically mean you will have a mental health issue. However, research tells us that those of us who are members of the LGBT+ community are more prone to mental health problems. LGBT+ people are more at risk of suicidal behaviour and self-harm than non-LGBT+ people. Gay and bisexual men are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide across their lifetime than the rest of the population. LGBT+ people are 1.5 times more likely to develop depression and anxiety compared to everyone else. And Conference, I am in that statistic. The reasons why there are mental health issues amongst LGBT+ people are complex. Many researchers believe that the pressure of trying to conform to a heteronormative society and the discrimination that many members of the community face may be having a negative impact on the mental health of people in my community and in particularly amongst young people. 1 in 7 LGBT+ people have avoided seeking mental health support for fear of discrimination because of their sexual orientation and/or their gender identity. Colleagues, the recommendations in this composite, particularly the references to improved sex and relationship education and more LGBT+ orientated studies in schools, along with giving minority groups a greater say in shaping their local health services, will help combat the issues faced by many LGBT+ people and will save lives. Comrades, I urge you to support this motion.
I'll take another round before the next delegate speaks. So at the very back of the far section, is it a bluey-green top? That's the one coming down now. In this section, we'll go to the front with the black T-shirt and the beard. Okay, I'll come back to Wales in the next round. I've done that block for now. In the front row and in the red T-shirt towards the front.
I'm here speaking on behalf of Burton CLP and my name's Lewis Anderson, first time delegate, first time speaker. I'd first like to start unconventionally with a goodbye. A goodbye to Boris Johnson and his callous government. And while we're on that subject, my MP commented yesterday and called the Supreme Court ruling an insult to democracy. Well, I call on this conference to say that that's not the insult to democracy. It's comments that divide our country like that one that is an insult to our democracy. Now, I rise in support of all the motions that we will be voting on today, but to talk in particular about mental health and its effect, indeed, on the homeless people in our country. Now, I volunteer. We set up a homeless group in 2017. There's so many appalling stories that we have heard of real people suffering every single day for no fault, often of their own. Now, if I share one story with you, I won't mention names for obvious reasons, but there was a man, he was out of town, his wife looking after 2 children. She went out for an evening, hired a babysitter to look after their 2 children. The babysitter was deaf, a fire alarm went off, and it wasn't heard. The house burnt down with the 3 in it. Now that man remains on the streets battling the mental health, which is obviously come from this and stem from other things within his life, but also, apart from that, he's got to suffer the dangers every single day on the street, sometimes from the nature, sometimes from other people on the street, and that cannot be right. So we, as the Labour Party, have a duty to stand up in support of people suffering mental health, often not for reasons of their own, things out of their control in this situation. Thank you.
Chair, Conference, Jason Turvey, Transport Salary Staffs Association, speaking in support of Composite 20. Comrades, ours is a migrant nation. For centuries we have become home for people from all over Europe and the world looking to make a better life for themselves and their families. As a nation and us as a movement, we have a proud history of welcoming migrants into our communities and into our places of work. But there are those who have sought to divide us. In 2010, the Tories, with the tacit approval of the Lib Dems and to whoops of delight among the worst sections of our media, began a concerted campaign of demonisation and vilification against a whole raft of vulnerable and minority groups in our country. A cynical scheme to split the working class and attempt to distract us all from the real architects of the fiscal disaster of 2008, the bankers. And our migrant brothers and sisters have not escaped this. From vans driving down the streets of our most diverse areas, telling migrants to go home or be arrested, to Yarlswood, to Brook House, to student visas, the Tories have deliberately and callously made us a country unwelcoming of migrants. But we think different. We believe in the freedom of movement. We believe in welcoming anyone, wherever they come from, to live and work in our communities, to support our NHS, to build the new homes we need, to keep the wheels of our nation moving and to make a new life and success for themselves in this, our country. Finally, to anyone, anywhere who makes the leap that migration has pushed down wages and conditions for all workers, I say this. Turn your fire on the bosses for wages and conditions remaining stagnant for years, and onto the Tories for enabling them, with pernicious anti-union legislation designed to mute our collective voice and hobble us in our collective actions. They try to divide and silence us, but they will not succeed. Conference, join me in supporting this composite.
Amanda McLean, Tottenham CLP, first-time speaker, first-time delegate. Two years ago, seemingly out of the blue, I had a psychotic episode and found myself under the care of an NHS home crisis team. I am so thankful for all of the wonderful NHS workers who held my hand during that difficult time. So I'm delighted to see emotion and mental health in today's agenda. But I can already hear Brighton Pavilion rubbing their hands together in glee, because this motion is setting us up for one massive reference back somewhere down the line on the grounds of inclusivity. There are many groups who are completely ignored in the composite. Their specific mental health needs are just not mentioned. You don't need to spend much time on the streets of Tottenham to see how mental health issues disproportionately affect the black community. Nor is there any recognition of the mental health impacts of disability in our society. But what I want to speak to most is the omission of any mention of women and girls. The composite recognises gender strain. Well, gender strain affects women and girls enormously. The rocketing increase in self-harm, depression, anxiety and eating disorders in young women who are seriously impacted by an epidemic of sexist and sexual bullying and harassment fuelled by online porn. The strain on carers, mostly women, saddled with having to give care for elderly parents or disabled children. Women traumatised by sexual violence, sex trafficking and their experiences in prostitution and criminal violence in the home. I could go on.
that you've run out of time, so can you wind up, please?
Thank you. Conference. Women are half the world. We are right here in front of you. Why do we have to keep reminding you that we exist?
Finish up, please. Last
Vote
sentence.
for Composite 22, but please, NEC, will you make sure that the policy based on this motion is truly inclusive?
Thank you.
Hello, Conference. Sarah Harper, Momentum, York Central, and Proud Unite delegate. I stand here as someone who, like my comrades before, have experienced feelings of being suicidal. And this is not something that I should have to come up here and say. It's a terrifying time that we are living in, a time when the Tories and the Lib Dems have been systematically stripping our NHS of the capability to support people like myself and like so many of my good comrades in this room. We have suffered as a result. I stand here as a cisgender, straight woman, and as such I stand here in a position of privilege, and I recognise that where I have managed to survive and indeed thrive, there are many of my siblings who have so much greater a struggle than I myself, and they might not manage to overcome those hurdles, and I stand in solidarity with them. In York Central, the stripping of our services has led to the closure of Bootham Mental Health Services. It has led to threats against the retreat, an outstanding and actually revolutionary when it was created, the mental health service that provides holistic support to people experiencing crisis. It's a situation that we absolutely must stop. Please, support Composite 22.
Can I see indications for the next round? Coming to Wales, with the black shirt and the one in front, not the one behind. Yeah. Right at the back, the accessibility steward at the back, yeah. In the red T-shirt here. And the accessibility steward in the very far corner.
Bring them all down.
There's quite a lot, Len. I'll come to the back. We've got time in this debate, so we'll make sure we get to front and back of all the sections and left and right and wherever we can. Next delegate, please.
Solidarity with all victims of the profit-driven war industry, including the Kashmiris and the Palestinians. 2508-8954 was the name given to me by the army when I was 17 years old. I'm now called Dave. I'm an Afghanistan veteran, and I'm one of two armed forces, veterans and families leads in the UK Labour Party. Only two. Veterans make up approximately 1 in 11 of the UK population. We have some of the highest addiction issues, highest levels of homelessness, We make up 10% of the prison population, mainly for violent and sexual offences. And we have some of the highest rates of suicide out of any demographic. And we cross every boundary. We are your sons, your mothers, your blacks, your gays. We are crossing on every boundary. We are everybody. We have no representation as a demographic in the Labour Party. We don't. I was psychologically conditioned to kill by the state. My neuroplasticity was changed. My empathy was lowered. My aggression heightened. And my emotional regulation damaged. I have to apologise to the people around me who had to suffer me when I came back, because there was no psychological reconditioning, there was no social reintegration, and there still isn't upon transitioning away into civilian life. I would be dead or in jail without Liverpool City Council and the Liverpool Veterans Welfare Model, Veterans HQ. There should be no military charity sector. It shouldn't exist. We are a government responsibility, just like every victim of the military-industrial complex. Every victim, every place we bombed, we break it, we bought it, we hurt these people, we help them. I move you to support Composite 22. Thank you, comrades!
Can I remind delegates not to shout into the mic, because it is not helpful for people who are listening on the hearing loop, so stand back a bit if you're going to shout, but preferably don't shout.
Cynnan Valley CLP, right next to Caerphilly, first-time delegate, first-time speaker. Speaking in support of motion 22, mental health. Conference, hanging, cutting, overdose. Some of the most common ways that young men decide to end their lives. Some of the ways in which families, friends, and communities lose valued loved ones every single day. Every suicide is a black mark, not on the individual, but on our society. A society which fails to respond, and when it does, is often too late. Young men up and down this country struggle with anxiety, depression, and many other conditions every single minute of every single day. As a young man who attempted to take his own life, I understand that struggle. I was only brought back from the brink by our valued services and by being able to talk about my struggle. This is why this strategy, this motion, matters so much. The policy suggestions and the broad range of changes and improvements contained, if enacted, will bring people back from the brink. It will save lives. When you vote, think not only of yourself, your union or your CLP, but also think of your comrades, your brothers, your fathers, your sons, your uncles, your friends, and your fellow human beings who may be struggling silently. Think of what you can do to help them. Thank you very much.
Battling Spence CLP and proud GMB member. First-time delegate, first-time speaker. Conference. As a caseworker for Tracy Brabin MP, I see first-hand the impact of Tory cuts. If you feel suicidal, trapped in your own home due to anxiety, or struggling with your mental illness, you could face up to 1 year waiting for the right treatment. This is not good enough. In 2018 alone, 730 under 25s died of suicide. Many are struggling day after day, but are stuck on that waiting list. I myself have suffered from a mental illness, and if it wasn't for the support of the GMB, I don't know where I'd be. Others are not so lucky. These waiting lists are too long. There are not enough services because of austerity. Let us campaign for a Labour government that will put the funding back into our mental health services. Conference, change is coming.
I'm sorry, comrades. I feel so passionate about this. Like the comrade from Tottenham said, 50% of humanity is female. And yet, we are continually subjugated, even in so-called educated, eloquent Western societies like this. Mental health, the women who suffer from domestic abuse and domestic violence, mental health issues that pervade their lives, all their lives, every single day, you revisit the episodes of violence and abuse, and you come to believe what you've been told for years is that you are worthless, that you're nothing, that it's your fault. It's only with you that these things happen. With domestic abuse, because domestic abuse, it's important that we have that word abuse, because it doesn't always come to violence. Abuse manifests itself in many, many ways. And we can't just throw money at it. We have to look and help families, especially children. Intervention needs to take place in a holistic, the buzzword I know, I apologize, in a holistic manner. Otherwise, these children, our children, my children, are shifted about from borough to borough, living in disgusting, disgusting accommodation. But you're told that it's you. This is you. And it pervades your entire life and your children's lives. So I call upon a Jeremy Corbyn government to set up a commission to look at and address the effects of domestic abuse and domestic violence in our society. I call for a revolution, and I apologise for carrying on. I know I've got very little time left. I call for a revolution to say that we are no longer going to condone this abuse, because by not dealing with it, by not tackling it, by not looking at it, we give permission for it to carry on. We condone it.
Last sentence, Delegate.
I know. So thank you to that sister from Tottenham. Thank you so much. Before I go, I just want to say a very, very heartfelt thank you to all the accessibility stewards that have been so amazing. Thank you. They're all on 0-hour contracts. All these stewards are on 0-hour contracts, managing on an hour's sleep a night just to be able to survive. But back to domestic abuse.
No, thanks. You've had well over 2 minutes now. So.
I call for a revolution for women to say no more.
Wind up now. Come on.
Thank you,
You've had your
comrades.
time. Thank you. Take another round before the next delegate speaks. So there's someone over there in glasses at the end of the row, an accessibility steward at the back of this block, a person with, is it a reddish top? Yes, who just stood up. No. The one in front, not the one behind. Yes, you with the, black with red trim. And then over here in the, right in the front row. Yeah, in the check shirt, yeah. There will be time for another round after this one.
Ahmed Boston, first blind councillor in the Socialist Republic of Sandwell and proud member of Unite the Union. Conference, I rise to speak to Composite 20 because the racist, xenophobic and Islamophobic Boris Johnson, leading a party of the same ilk, created, manufactured the hostile environment. Was it the nurses from Eastern Europe that caused that environment? No, they were busy saving lives. Was it the factory workers like my grandfather who came from Pakistan who caused the environment? No, because they were a part of this country's industrial revolution. Was it the doctors that come from India? No, because they were busy saving lives as well. Comrades, the subjugation of migrant communities is not only to divide and conquer with the dirty hallmarks of the British Empire on their conscience and perpetuated by every single one of them, but they also want to silence us. They want to silence us on Palestine so we don't wear lanyards like this. They want to silence us against the terrorist Narendra Modi, who is killing, persecuting, and putting a genocide upon the Kashmiri people, for whom military sanctions cannot come sooner enough. Comrades, I ask you to support all the motions this morning because our leader, Jeremy Corbyn, has given his political life's blood to social justice, equality and freedom in the UK and around the world. And I conclude. And I conclude in saying this. The late, great Nelson Mandela once said, "Our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians." I say to you, conference, our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of all people everywhere, including here in Britain, from Tory tyranny. Thank you, conference.
Good morning, conference. I am Joseph, Croydon CLP. And I am born in India, place called Kerala. I love the Kashmir and the current situation in the Kashmir. We are now supporting the current situation. But who is responsible for the current situation? The UN have to involve the matter in Kashmir and the Balochistan and the minority communities in those countries, India, Pakistan, getting the discrimination. Article 370 is a temporary provision in Indian Constitution to integrate the Kashmir people to Indian Union. Last 70 years, they are getting this special privilege, but there is no integration happened. And there is a country inside another country. Kashmir has different constitution, different flag. In Kashmir, there is many religion, Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, and other minorities. In 1987, there was a religious conflict. Around 3 million Kashmir Pandit become refugees. They lost their homes and land, and many of them lost their lives, and many women and children brutally raped. There is no rehabilitation happened until now.
Can you sit down, please, Delegate? It's not a point of order. Please sit down. Thank you, Delegate. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Conference. Michelle Pointer, Aylesbury CLP, speaking in support of Composite 22. Our comrade Morgan invited us to speak from our own experiences, so I'm actually going to share that of my daughter and mine. Can you imagine being a mum or a dad and your child tells you that they wish to die? They want to go to bed and go to sleep and never wake up. And then imagine that, despite your best efforts, you cannot get them an appointment to see anybody for a year. Now, when she finally did get an appointment with CAMHS, which was in July this year, now CAMHS, fabulous group of workers, but underpaid, understaffed. They are not able to do what they want to do because of the Tory and Lib Dem cuts. And that's not okay. Yes, there are definitely issues with wording in this composite. There are definitely issues of groups being left out, and Brighton Pavilion will have great fun referencing that back. But I ask you, please, Conference, let's unanimously pass Composite 22. Thank you.
Good morning, Conference Chair. Michelle Marinell, Charlie CLP. I wasn't going to get up to speak, but I felt that I needed to. I'm also an extremely proud Unison member. Colleagues, I'm asking you to, yes, like as the previous speaker said, there are issues with this motion, but please, let's work together, not reference it back, unanimously support the mental health issues. As an ex-police staff member, A&Es are usually the first and quickest port of call for anybody that's dealing with mental health. And within Charlie, because of the cuts that this, I won't use the bad language, crap government have done, my A&E department was closed. We fought a campaign and we've now got it back, but we've only got it back for 12 hours. I'd also like Conference to send a message of support to all the members of staff that are affected because of the shambles of Thomas Cook. You know, we need to let them know that we're thinking with them and that we stand side by side with them. And if Conference will just indulge me, because I've got a quick time, I'd like to wish my wife a very happy 15th wedding anniversary. And I know that my nephews are watching this at home. So, Auntie Shelley loves you lots. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to take another round of speakers. In the far back corner with glasses and just pointing at your head, yes. Okay. So, okay. In this block, on the end with the rainbow on the T-shirt. At the back of here with the black top with the black watch, you've got one finger in the air now. Yep. Just need to look at them so I know. And over here at the front in the flowery top. That's it for this round.
Greetings, Conference. Onyenyechi Victoria Ugueme. Saramton Ichin CLP, first-time delegate, first-time speaker. Before I start my speech, I would like to offer my solidarity to the WASPI women. Our leader, Jeremy Corbyn, stood with them on International Women's Day 2017 and spoke of how much we have to do for them. If you're not at that age yet, you will get to that age. And the time is now to support the WASPI women. I'm a GMB rep and a Southampton branch president. And I'm also the BAME officer for the Southampton and Romsey Labour Party. And I have put myself forward as a councillor in my ward. And that is because I have seen the suffering in the BAME community, and I can't afford to keep quiet. I'm going to have a short speech on immigration. Immigration and identity, the ongoing struggles of liberation. For many, the process of immigration entails liberation and new opportunities. Here is my own acronym on CAC for migrants. C for courage, A for adaptable, and C for colorful. Whether you came by sea, land, or air, we are all migrants, legal or illegal. We must provide facilities to enable all individuals that seek to reside in our country the best opportunity to do so. We must ensure there is no repeat of the pain suffered by the Windrush generation.
Please, Delegate.
If I, as an immigrant, can consciously commit to creating hope for everyone around me and to the wider nation, so can you. And like Martin Luther King says, we need to bring hope back to our society. If you lose hope, somehow you lose the vitality that keeps life moving. You lose that courage to be, that quickly helps you to go on in spite of the difficulties and the setbacks you might face. So please support the motion for immigration and mental health, and unanimously support Composite 20 and 22. Thank you.
I'm Indigo Haynes from North Cornwall CLP. You've seen me before, but since I only proposed a constitutional amendment, I've been told I can speak again on this motion I'm so passionate about. Since I'm youth delegate, you might expect me to tell you about how 20% of young people experience mental health issues a year, or how only a quarter of young people with mental health disorders get the help they need. Instead, I'd like to talk about the less flashy crisis of adult mental health. These services have been cut and cut, always the first to go, alongside social care, alcohol dependency support, and adult education. The brilliant Open University, a Labour creation that revolutionised the opportunity for social mobility, has been crippled. A full-time degree that was once £1,400 is now £5,000. How is it a surprise that in a time of financial insecurity, the rates of stress, depression, and anxiety have increased dramatically? The mental health crisis is only a symptom of a decade of Tory rule, and the only way to tackle it is to have grassroots activists out on the streets, running local campaigns, and getting young people like me involved in politics, in order to get more people voting Labour, more Labour MPs elected, and a Labour government back in power. Conference, support Composite 22 on mental health.
I I'm Charlotte Norton, a Poplar and Limehouse CLP, and also a Pride GMB member. I'd like to thank absolutely everyone that's spoken on all of the motions this morning. I think for many people in the room, it's been a really emotional morning. A lot of the policies that we've been discussing at this conference, we're working on the radical principle that humans are humans and deserve to be treated as such. And I'm really pleased with all of the policies that have been coming through. I am LGBT officer on open labour, so I would like to focus specifically and thank those that drafted the motion that they explicitly referenced LGBT plus mental health issues. Those in the LGBTQ plus community use mental health services at a vastly higher rate than those people who are privileged enough to be cis or straight. I would like to particularly stand in solidarity with my trans siblings. I have been horrified by some of the hateful material that has been spread by Labour members at Labour conference, which deny the right of our trans siblings to be who they are. There was a meeting held to discuss that these people, our comrades, are not who they say they are, and when people protested that meeting, they had buckets of water thrown over them. That's simply not good enough. Labour stands for everyone, and everyone has the right to be who they are, and we do need to accept it. So thank you so much for including LGBTQ+ in this motion specifically. And as some other comrades have said, not every motion is going to be written absolutely perfectly, and I'm sure the comrades that put forward the motion are aware, but I hope that we unanimously push this forward so that we can have a better mental health programme that works for all. Thank you.
Nikki Coles, Portsmouth South CLP, first-time delegate, first-time speaker. I'm speaking on the mental health composite. I'm going to talk about my personal experience, but it is shared with many others. I had my first child in 2009, and after she was born, I pretty much felt immediately that something wasn't right. Until that time, I had never experienced what a deep depression had felt like. I can honestly say it was the worst time in my life when it should have been the best. Sure Start and a service they funded called Home Start was my saving grace, and I owe it everything for getting me through this tough time. Without them, it doesn't bear thinking about what could have happened to me. Because of the support I received, I then went on to become a volunteer myself. In 2011, our Lib Dem Council announced cuts due to less money coming from government. I was at the forefront of the campaign to save our Sure Start. Because of the fight, we managed to save some jobs and services. But with the rise of UKIP, we were then lumbered with a Tory administration who completely got rid of Sure Start as we knew it, and as well as servicing ending, jobs were lost. All we have left now are groups run by volunteers who not only give up their time, but also pay for resources out of their own pockets. I'd like to thank these volunteers, but I'd love to see Sure Start return to its former glory, with paid, trained staff to support all parents, carers and children. And before I finish, I have an 8-year-old daughter at home who tells me often that she is sad, and CAMS have denied any support, but I will never stop fighting for her.
Right, I'll take one more round of speakers before we move to the votes. So I'm going to take the person in the mustard top, with the glasses, and in the, is it sort of burgundy? Yes, pointing at yourself. The one who's just stood up. Okay. Clear.
I have witnessed firsthand the effect that this Tory austerity programme has had on the poorest and most vulnerable in our society. Recently, a close family member of mine became homeless. This was someone who had worked all of his life, but he had severe depression, lost his job due to a marriage breakdown, and ended up with nowhere to live. When he went to the council for help, he was told it would take 2 weeks to get sorted, so he had no option but to sleep in a van. The council finally arranged viewings for bedsits, but they were just not fit for purpose. He said, and I quote, "I had to leave one of the viewings and was almost sick outside because of the smell and the state of the room." He finally went to the doctors to ask for mental health support, and the doctor told him that he was 3 years late. We need to end the stigma with mental health. Our vital services are being decimated, our communities are becoming increasingly divided, and the poorest and most vulnerable are being pushed to breaking point. This sounds like a failure of government, but the government haven't failed. They are doing exactly what they set out to do from the beginning. An utter disgrace, but we know they have no shame. As Philip Alston said in his UN report, poverty is a political choice. I don't choose poverty. We don't choose poverty. We need to improve provision and access to services for the most vulnerable. We need to provide mental health support intervention early, which will reduce the burden of cost overall. And we need to make a difference to the lives of those who are continuously ignored. We need a Labour government under Jeremy Corbyn. Thank you.
Johnny Roberts, Newbury CLP. I'm here to talk about the immigration motion. This motion has some incredible things inside it. It has the ending of detention centres, all detention centres. It has the ending of the hostile environment. It has the ending of the inability to go to recourse of public funds for asylum seekers, and it allows asylum seekers to work, ending that ludicrous situation. But conference, it has one amazing thing in it that I think is being overlooked slightly. Something that could transform our society. I want to talk to you briefly about the situation my wife finds herself in. She's lived here for 16 years. She's from Venezuela. She cannot vote. She has worked here. She has studied here. She's given birth to 2 children here, got married here, but she cannot vote and could not vote for me, her husband, when I stood for Labour in 2015. So I feel like I'm talking for her, who I've ditched for 4 days to come to conference, but I'm also talking for the millions like her in our societies, who are vital parts of our societies but have no democratic voice. Those people are your neighbours, your friends, your carers, your co-workers. Conference, we all in this movement believe in human rights. We cannot say we stand for human rights if we think that certain humans shouldn't have a voice in our democracy. Conference, back this motion.
Chair, Conference, comrades, Joshua Constable, Eastleigh CLP. I will be voting in support of all the motions today, and I urge you all to do the same. But I would particularly like to draw attention, like the brilliant comrades before me, to the immigration motion. A motion that is just as radical, just as life-changing, just as inspiring as all of the motions that have been put to this conference. This conference has been about what kind of country we want to be. Do we want to be a low-regulation, capitalistic, race to the bottom, racist, isolationist country? Or do we want to be open? Do we want to be a beacon to the downtrodden, to the hurt, to the left behind of the world, to the workers, to the unions, no matter the race, creed, religion, nation, all over the world, they can look to Britain and they can see there is a country that stands for what is right. We, as Labour Party members, know better than most. The media will not give us a fair chance to put forward our views. Right now, the machinations of the capitalist press will be fighting to smear the excellent, radical, life-changing policies that this conference has voted for. The immigration motion promises to turn Britain into the outward-looking country, the open country, the beacon of liberty, hope and justice for all that we can be, that Labour is fighting for us to be. And conference, I will end with a brilliant quote from a great man that I think perfectly supports this motion. Workers of the world, unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains.
What an excellent lead-up. Sasha Martin, Tunbridge and Malling CLP, first-time delegate, first-time speaker. I would like to call on conference to pass all motions unanimously, but I'd like to specifically call for motion 20 on immigration and motion 22 on mental health. I'm recently elected LGBT officer. Conference. When our NHS was set up, Nye Bevan faced pressure to charge immigrants for the use of the NHS. He said no, because he said our NHS was universal at the point of use for everyone. No recourse to public funds means migrants are charged to use the NHS and other public services like the justice system. I would also like to point out that in supporting all citizens having the right to vote, we will possibly be seeing the greatest extension of the franchise since Sylvia Pankhurst completed the campaign for universal suffrage in 1928. We can win with these policies on the doorstep. These are the policies we need in our manifesto to unite the country behind us and to support the working classes. I'm really sorry. I didn't expect to be called up. And I also didn't expect conference to be such a wonderful... I mean, I'm not slandering conference, but this has been a wonderful conference, has it not? We've had debate from the floor. We've had membership-led democracy throughout. We have been making policies here. And I would like to thank everyone who's got up to speak. I would like to thank all delegates, all affiliates, for joining together and supporting some amazing, amazing policies. Thank you, conference.
Thank you, delegate. Okay, this is the final speaker in the debate, and then we'll move to the votes.
Conference, I stand before you as a delegate who has struggled with their mental health in the past. 3 years ago, I couldn't leave my house. 3 years ago, I was in the deepest depression I'd ever experienced. I couldn't speak to people. I dropped out of school. I couldn't handle the pressure. And this year, conference, I was the youngest Labour candidate in the East Herts District Council elections, and I am so proud. But conference, I've seen myself the crisis of mental health care in this country, especially for young people. I've been through it myself. I've watched some of the people I love most in the world go through it and struggle manfully and painfully. Year on year, youth mental health services have suffered from heartless cuts by the Tories. The system needs to be rebuilt from the ground up, and that can only be done by the Labour Party. Not by the Lib Dems, not by the Tories who started the ball rolling on these malicious cuts. Only by the Labour Party can mental health services and the NHS be rebuilt. Only the Labour Party can be trusted with these precious services. Only the Labour Party, with Jeremy Corbyn in number 10 Downing Street, can be trusted to rebuild mental health services for young people. I urge you, vote in favour of Composite 22, and thank you for an amazing conference.
Okay, we're now going to take the votes, beginning with the references back and motions left over from yesterday. So first, the references back on the MPF report, Housing, Transport and Local Government Policy Commission annual report, and they're on page 16, starting on page 16. So the first one from Brighton Pavilion. Can I see all those in favour? All those against? That's carried. The second one from Brighton Pavilion. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Third one from Brighton Pavilion. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Fourth one from Brighton Pavilion. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Fifth one from Brighton Pavilion. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. And we're at the final reference back from Brighton Pavilion for this conference. It's number 6 on this document. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. There are more. That was just... so the reference back from Hackney North and Stoke Newington. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. From Labour International. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. From Tottenham, all those in favour? All those against? That's carried. The first one from Ruislip North and Pinner, all those in favour? All those against? That's carried. The second one from Ruislip North and Pinner, all those in favour? All those against? That's carried. From Rayleigh and Whitford, all those in favour? All those against? That's carried. From Erewash, thank you. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. And from Hornsey and Wood Green, all those in favour? Oh.
Sorry, ignore that.
Oh, it's just a typo from yesterday. Sorry, that isn't a vote. Apologies. Got left over. So thank you. That concludes the references back, and I would like to assure you that we'll be looking at the system for next year so that it's as clear as possible and organised for conference next year. So we move to Composite 21 on local authority cuts. Can I see all those in favour? All those against? That's unanimous. Composite 19 on homelessness. All those in favour? All those against? That's unanimous. Composite 23 on housing. All those in favour? All those against? That's also unanimous. The emergency motion on Kashmir from Leighton and Wanstead CLP. All those in favour? All those against? That's unanimous. Next, the National Policy Forum report on housing, transport and local government, incorporating the references back we've already agreed. All those in favour of the report? All those against? That's carried. We now move to today's motions. Composite 20 on immigration. All those in favour? All those against? That's unanimous. Thank you, conference. We've still got some votes to go. Moving on to Composite 22 on mental health. All those in favour? All those against? That's unanimous. The emergency motion on Thomas Cook. Can I see all those in favour? All those against? And that's unanimous. Finally, as a special treat, we have a card vote. Right, to save the best till last. This is card vote 45 from your packs, and it's the Democracy Review rule change left over from the ballot earlier this week. Should we say what it is? Is it in here?
Yeah, it's in there somewhere.
People stay in their seats for the vote, please, because it gets confusing if other people who don't need to be are wandering around. 45, number 45. 15.
Yep, so it is.
So just to summarise, if people want me to, it's about it's something that's left over from the Democracy Review, and it's about the NEC putting in place rules requiring CLP executive committees to report all decisions in writing to the CLP General Meeting for approval, and requiring that branch and CLP standing orders and non-private records of decisions be made available to members on an electronic platform provided by the party. Stay in their seats while the ballot's concluded, please. Everyone's wandering out. Your seats while the ballots are being collected. There's really not long to go now. Right, if anyone hasn't put their ballot in, can you wave your hand? Couple more. No. Can we go? Okay. Thank you very much, conference. We'd like to conclude with a rousing speech from a member of the Shadow Cabinet, but they're already back in London taking the fight to the Tories. That is the last of this year's conference business, so I want to thank you very much for all your energy, your wisdom and your engagement this week, coming right into this morning when some people said everyone will go home. You haven't. Thank you. Thank you for your patience while we have tried to make conference work more smoothly, and we will go ahead and do that even more smoothly as we re-establish democracy in our party. Huge thanks to all the staff who worked so hard to make this conference happen. They've had about 3 hours sleep between them this week, and the effort that our staff go to make all this happen is incredible. And now they're off to fight a general election, as are we. So let's go back to our CLPs, or in my case and many others, our nearest marginals, looking at you, Milton Keynes, and put everything we can into our campaign on the doorstep and online, so that when we meet again next year in Liverpool, we will have Jeremy Corbyn as Prime Minister and a Labour government. Conference is closed.